Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fumble Sports Daily Betting Show. Hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Hope you also had a very successful yesterday with your bets. We're going to go through every game today across the NBA, NHL, and MLB. If you're watching on TikTok Live, YouTube Live, you're getting a full screen view with all of our bets. All the research that we're going to be able to do, you're going to be able to watch everything on your screen and follow along. And if you're watching on Instagram Live, you're getting a behind the scenes view. That's why you're getting the green screen behind me. So if you're watching on Instagram Live, you're getting a behind the scenes view, but you're going to get access to all the same information, all the same bets, everything that you guys need to cash in on your bets today. And also we're going to cover some DFS. Obviously talk some fantasy sports as well. So if you're on Instagram Live, you're getting the behind the scenes view. But if you're watching on TikTok Live or on YouTube, you can obviously see everything that we're going to do, the research, the bets. We're going to put everything up on the screen so you can follow along with us. But before we get to our bets, I do want to talk a little bit about what we saw yesterday and rant on it just a little bit, because for those who love sports betting, yesterday was a brilliant reminder of why you need to be so careful with your money. And obviously we talk a lot about trying to chase trends, trying to find the right bets, but you got to be really wary what trends you follow. One of the best trends across the NBA this year was the Miami Heat having one of the worst regular season against the spread records in the NBA. And in fact, it was the worst. 30, 49, and 3 against the spread during the regular season. But if you watched the Miami Heat last night, you saw how dynamic they were, and that's been the case over the playoffs. In the playoffs, the Heat are 8-1 against the spread, the best against the spread team in the NBA. So you see the regular season, you have this massive sample size, and yet it doesn't amount to as much as you think. That's an example of why sports betting is so complicated. You follow trends, you think you have a wealth of information to go off of, but that's not always the case. You need to find various variables in which to pull from to kind of create the algorithm that makes a really successful sports bet. But I want to be honest, I don't get it right every time. Every variable I look at doesn't hit every time. I took the Knicks covering last night. I thought that maybe Miami would win, maybe not, but I thought that the Knicks would at least cover. That wasn't even the case. Miami, like I said, covered the spread. 8-1 against the spread. Have we learned our lesson? You'll have to find out when we talk about the Miami Heat and the Knicks later in the show. But that's an example of the following trends, where you get your data. It isn't a perfect fit. It isn't you always find Excalibur. Just because you find a hot trend doesn't mean you found a cash ticket. You got to be careful with your bets. You got to be smart with the money you put down. And obviously, you have to be wary of the sample sizes you pull from. I wanted to talk about that because we have a lot of sports bettors who are new. Fumble Sports isn't going to claim to be an expert. We're going to claim to be a passionate fan. We love sports betting. We love fantasy sports. We want to teach you guys. We want to engage you. Sports betting is going to become more popular around the country, and a lot of you are going to be introduced to it either for the first time, or you're really going to dive into it much deeper. Maybe you were doing it with friends. Maybe you were doing it on the side for maybe a big game like the Super Bowl, but maybe you haven't been to daily betting like a lot of us have been, and you're just learning now, how do I put my money down? How do I save my money? How do I not get ahead of my skis? A lot of this is going to be new to you. And I'm going to certainly open up and kind of reveal what the experience is like on this side. One of the reasons Fumble Sports exists is we're a sports fan, content created company for sports fans out there. So we like to follow trends. We know it's easy to say, oh, LeBron's going to win or Steph Curry's going to win. It's easy to go chase brand names. It's easy to go chase things just because the public does it. But more often than not, the public is wrong. So you want to be really wary. You want to try and find the best information possible. And that's why Fumble Sports is going to have this daily betting show. We're going to be live every single day. So if you have questions, you can ask them. If you want to get great information, obviously you're here for it. We're going to put it out there across different websites, different sources, and try to teach you where to get the best information possible. That's what Fumble Sports is all about, and that's what we're going to try and do with this daily betting show. That being said, I definitely want to introduce you all to our show and welcome you in to everybody. Love the comments we're getting in the chat. Hope that you share your comments and questions throughout the show. If there are bets you like, if there's research you want us to do, we are absolutely here to help you guys out. So throw those comments in the chat. If you're watching on Instagram Live, you're getting a behind the scenes view, hence the green screen behind me. So don't think anything of it, but I want to make sure you guys get access to the information that we're going to put out during the show. As for all of those loyal viewers who are loading up the chat, Timbo, Alexander, Drew, we will get to all of your questions and certainly help you out. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. I want to make a special note. If you guys hit that like button and get us up to 1,000 likes as a benchmark each time, we will give out one of our favorite bets of the day. It could be a money line play, a total play, or a player prop bet. But for every 1,000 likes we get, we'll add another favorite bet to the list. I do want to go back through the bets that we had yesterday because I want to be, like I said, very revealing about how we've done in the past. And as you can see, wasn't one of our better days. We came out one bet ahead, but we did miss on a few of these. Going back through the bets that we had yesterday as our favorite picks of the day, Cody Bellinger hit on his over half a total base, got that at minus 150, that cashed. Anthony Davis, only 2 assists yesterday, so that missed. We had it at over 2.5. Anthony Davis maybe hogging the ball a little bit too much, but it ended up working out. So Julius Randle, under 23.5 points, that cashed. We saw last night he got into foul trouble. That seemed like an easy bet, so Julius Randle cashed. One of the surprising ones that we missed yesterday, Josh Naylor. We had him at over half a strikeout. That one missed. Surprising. He's been averaging about a strikeout a game, so surprised we missed on that one, but we did. Steph Curry, over 4.5 three-pointers, despite having a triple-double, a phenomenal game. He didn't have 5 3-pointers. We thought he was going to go off and the Warriors were going to win, so we kind of paired those two together. 2 final bets that we did cash yesterday. Zach Gallen, over 6.5 strikeouts. We cashed that. He had 7 strikeouts yesterday. Successful day against the Marlins. And LeBron James, over 5.5 assists. He had 6. That actually has been a winning bet 2 games in a row for us, so we are obviously going to consider that moving forward. But new day, new best bet, so every time we hit 1,000 likes, we will give out a best bet. So make sure you're hitting that like button if you're watching on TikTok Live. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're following on TikTok Live, YouTube Live, and of course Instagram Live, where you're getting this behind the scenes view. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Okay, we're going to jump into all of our betting options in action today. Before we do, though, one quick note. We also obviously have our website, buttfumblesports.com. Make sure you hit that link in the bio if you're watching on TikTok Live. Takes you right to our website. All the content that we put out every day, betting trends, NBA picks, DFS lineups. So hit that link in the bio, buttfumblesports.com, and we can jump right into our bets now. So appreciate all you guys joining us. We're getting some early questions. So let's get into some of the questions that we had in the chat. The first one, interesting. Drew, appreciate you joining us. Malcolm Brogdon, over 18.5 points plus assists. That's an interesting question. Malcolm Brogdon got into a little bit of late game foul trouble in game 4. Maybe one of the reasons why we saw a little bit too much of Marcus Smart in that game down the stretch. We're now going to look at his points plus assists. That's what you were, to double check, that's what you were asking about. Yep, 18.5 points plus assists. So we're going to do our research on this one. The over right now, you can see, implied probability, really tough on these two. Both are in a similar range. Let's check out if there's some hot trends involved in this one. So you can see on the screen over the last 10, it's been a pretty strong play. Hit 5 times in a row, 7 out of the last 9. You have to feel pretty confident, Drew. Malcolm Brogdon, over 18.5 points plus assists. But before we automatically make that bet, I do want to zoom out just slightly, and I want to look at Malcolm Brogdon and how he's done at home this year. Again, something we like to do is we like to look at home-road splits. Oftentimes, you'll see a player perform really well, either at home or away. Sometimes it's interesting, the guys who perform better on the road. Exactly to this point, I want to make sure you guys can see it on the screen. On Malcolm Brogdon's home-road splits, he's actually got a better point average on the road. Really interesting to note. And as for assists, same thing. He's actually a better road player than he is a home player. averaging more minutes on the road, averaging more points, averaging more assists. So I like the play, Drew, of over 18.5 points plus assists. But you're living a little bit more on the edge with the game being in Boston, something that is a bit surprising. Again, this is why we like to dive into the information a little bit further. Now, in the playoffs, that's what we're looking at when we look at the trend of over the last 10 games. And in the playoffs, he's been very consistent. But interestingly enough, the games that he missed, he's missed two of the 3 times he didn't hit the over were at home. So interesting to note, I would take Malcolm Brogdon over 18.5 points plus assists. But interesting to note that he's actually a better road player than he is a home player. We're going to get to our next question. I know we've already hit 1,000 likes, but I want to make sure we answer some of our questions before we give out our best bet. But appreciate you guys hitting that like button. We will get to one of our favorite bets of the day in just a second. But first, Timbo, appreciate you, and a loyal follower, a loyal viewer. You're asking about the Mets on the money line. Man, the Mets have been dogging of late. Mets have been a tough team to watch. Disappointed. If you're a Barstool fan, I'm sure you're loaded up on your Frank the Tank content because he's been murdering them of late. But the truth of the matter is there's just a lot wrong with the New York Mets. Let's see if they're a good money line play today. They are facing the Cincinnati Reds. I believe it's Scherzer on the mound, if I'm not mistaken. I want to double check that just to be sure. Yeah, Max Scherzer against Luke Weaver. There you see up on the screen, if you're watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube, Luke Weaver, 7.88 ERA in just 16 innings so far. So he's just given up a ton of runs so far early in the year. Meanwhile, Scherzer hasn't been great. He obviously went through the sticky stuff controversy and was suspended for however long that was. Was that 10 games? Someone could remind me how long the suspension was. But that said, there's the strong trend here that we're showing using our Outlier app, a great sports betting app for all these trends and finding this data. The Cincinnati Reds are 13-26 off a loss over their last 39 games. Reds are struggling. Reds are in so many ways kind of I don't want to say the Oakland A's of the National League, but they're certainly in contention for that title. And this is a game in which Scherzer's supposed to be that guy. He's supposed to be him in 2023 language. And the New York Mets need to string together some wins for a number of reasons. You look at how the Mets have performed of late, struggling. Lost 4 of their last 5. This is a team that needs to put together some wins to get to lose back-to-back games at home to the Rockies. Bad look. They need to get a good starting performance. And head-to-head, this comes from last year, but you know, the Mets are the better roster. The Mets are the better team. Reds are struggling as well. Reds lost 2 of 3 to the White Sox. They've lost 3 of their last 5. I certainly like the Mets on the money line today. You're getting them at minus 188. That may not be great odds for you, but I do like the Mets on the money line. You may want to parlay them. We talked yesterday about a website that I really like, and we're going to pull it up right now. It's called Ballpark Pal. And one of the things that you can do is you can look at these ballpark factors. You can look at how the weather is going to impact the game from a home run, extra base, single, and run perspective. This is a great website. If you guys are watching on Instagram Live behind the scenes, the website is ballparkpal.com. Ballparkpal.com. It's a great website, and this is how the weather is going to impact runs today. Look at that Mets Cincinnati Reds. Plus 18% on home runs. Okay, minus 8 on extra base hits, minus 3 on singles, but plus 2% on runs. And this is a day that is not going to have a ton of scoring, according to the weather across the country. Weather is going to negatively impact the total runs, but not in that game. That's known as an offensively kind of a ballpark that naturally produces offense anyways. Weather plays a factor. So for those watching, I not only like the Mets on the money line today, I would absolutely look towards the Mets in a cover play on the run line. I don't wouldn't go necessarily on the over. Part of the reason is because of Scherzer. I am still going off of reputation there, though he hasn't pitched brilliantly this year. But for a number of reasons, I do like the Cincinnati Mets game on an overplay. So we'll dive into that a little bit later, but wanted to bring that up since there's a good opportunity there with the weather being what it is to try to take advantage of one of the few games that's supposed to be having positive weather. So anyways, appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you guys are hitting that follow button, Butt Fumble Sports. I know I made a promise that once we hit 1,000 like benchmarks, we will give out some of our favorite bets of the day. And don't worry, we are absolutely going to follow through on that now. 2 times over, so get ready because we're about to give you 2 of our favorite bets of the day because we've already hit over 2,000 likes. So make sure you guys are watching right now. Want to make sure I give those out to you. Okay, here we go. 2 of our favorite bets of the day, and we are also going to make sure we write these up on the screen so that way you guys can see them in case if you miss them at any point during the show, we'll jump back into these. But these are to pay off these 1,000 likes that we're getting. Appreciate all of you guys joining us and hitting that like button. We owe you guys 2. We'll start with an easy one here because we're playing it easy on the first 1,000 likes. Joel Embiid. Where are we going with it? We're going with this point total. And where? Over 28.5 points. We're getting that at minus 120. And our reasoning for that, Joel Embiid has exceeded 28.5 points in 15 of his last 18 games on the road after a win. In fact, on road games after a win, Joel Embiid is averaging 34.2 points per game. So that, I made a typo here. Not 38.5 points. That's not what we're going for. Yeah, over 28.5 points. Thank you for catching me, guys. But Joel Embiid, his total points for tonight, over 28.5 points. We're getting that at minus 120. I actually feel like that's a great place for odds. I actually thought it was going to be closer to like a minus 135, minus 140. Again, the note that I have, Joel Embiid has hit the over 28.5 points in 15 of his last 18 road games after a win. He is averaging 34.2 points per game on the road after a 76ers win. So that is the first best bet of the day that we're going to give out because we hit 1,000 likes. We actually hit 2,000 likes already, so I owe you a second one. I'm going to go to the other game tonight and the other big man that we should be talking about, Nikola Jokic. The best bet that I'm going to give out about him is about his total rebounds. That's Nikola Jokic over 13.5 rebounds. I'm getting that at minus 125. The note on that one, Jokic has exceeded 13.5 rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games against a top 10 scoring defense. He's actually averaging 14.6 rebounds in that situation. So Jokic over 13.5 rebounds. Again, we've seen throughout the series, he is the only physical man down low when it comes to DeAndre Ayton wants no part in Nikola Jokic. You're certainly going to see that tonight or in that next game. I'm getting ahead of myself with Denver. Denver's tonight. Forgive me. With Denver hosting the Suns tonight, Nikola Jokic should have the advantage down low. Over 13.5 rebounds. So again, for those watching on Instagram Live, the behind the scenes broadcast, our 2 favorite bets that we're giving out because we got likes on TikTok Live. The first being Joel Embiid over 28.5 points. I'm getting that at minus 120. And Nikola Jokic over 13.5 rebounds. I'm getting that at minus 125. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're hitting that like button. When we hit another 1,000 likes, when we get to 3,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite bets. But until then, we're going to dive back into our research. And again, I want to bring up Outlier, a great sports betting tool. What we like to do here at Butt Fumble Sports is we like to try to find trends. Try to find things that are, again, a bit out of the public eye. Too often, as a casual sports bettor, you're jumping into the river of the public and you're just following the herd. And unfortunately, that's how Vegas makes so much of its money. One of the reasons Outlier is such a great tool is it looks at data over time. It looks at data in ways that you may not have the opportunity to. You've got a job, you've got to pay the bills, you like to bet on sports when you can, but doing all this research takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. Outlier is an outstanding tool that brings all of this research into one place. And one of the things I really like about it is not only does it give you the trends and the data and all of the information that you need, but you're also able to get different options in terms of sports books. So if you see a bet that you really like, you can comparison shop and you can find the sports book that's going to give it to you at the best odds. So that's the reason we're using this tool. There are a couple other websites that we use. Covers.com is an outstanding tool for trends and other data. We'll bring that up on our screen throughout the show. And as well, we use Ballpark Pal. We talked about that earlier, looking at the information around how weather is going to factor total runs and scoring throughout a game across MLB. These are some of the websites that we use. Want to make sure I hand these out to you guys. If you want access to the Outlier app, make sure you DM us and we will hit you up after the show and hand out that link so you guys can get a free 7-day trial with Outlier. But all these other tools, these are accessible to you completely free. So check these out. These are ways you can get data, but these are some of the websites we're going to use throughout the show in case you guys are curious. Okay, getting back into some of the questions that we have on TikTok Live. Make sure you throw your questions in the chat. Happy to answer all these questions. Real quick, answering this off the top, it's not a betting question, but thoughts on the Pirates. Water finds its level. The Pirates had a great early start, but they weren't facing great competition. They faced the Rays, they faced the Blue Jays in the last two series. They're coming back kind of to the median that we thought they would find themselves. Pirates do have a lot more young talent than people thought. I actually think the best thing that happened for the Pirates is because they got out to the hot start, they were able to sign Brian Reynolds to the extension. I think that was a bit of fool's gold for him because I think the Pirates will end up being the team we thought they were. They'll just be kind of an April darling, but they signed a young player to a longer-term deal, a talented player, so not a bad thing. LRK425, we will dive into the games later in MLB, but really quick to answer your question, I'm not crazy about I may like the Braves on a money line today. We'll dive into it later. But I love the over in that game, so check that one out. And as for the Yankees, yes, I like the Yankees going up against the Athletics today. Again, we'll dive into that one a little bit later, but wanted to answer your question real quick. Swifto, Cards back-to-back. Gut says yes. Too much talent there. Played like poop early. Can turn it. Cardinals are in a tough spot in part because they're not behaving like the St. Louis Cardinals of old. They're being kind of stubborn in that they're not waiting things out. And that's what I mean by stubborn is they're behaving like other teams where they're being irrational. I think they're just off to a bad start, a slow start, one of the worst in franchise history. But for so many reasons, I think there's an opportunity for the Cardinals to get things right. We'll dive into that game in just a second, so don't worry too much about it. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you hit that follow button if you're watching on Instagram Live. Feel free to throw your comments or questions in the chat. Definitely here to answer your questions if you're watching on Instagram Live. For all those on TikTok Live and on YouTube, make sure you throw your comments in there. We're absolutely here to answer your questions and throw your comments in the chat. And if you're watching on Instagram, if you go to YouTube, you'll be able to watch all of our content on the screen, all of our research on the screen. So the YouTube and TikTok Live experience is definitely superior. So if you're watching on Instagram Live, do not hesitate to jump over to YouTube. There's a link in our bio. Okay, let's dive into some of the research. So talk about some of these games. One of the games we wanted to talk about, someone brought it up a moment ago, was the Atlanta Braves in a money line situation. I like the over in that game, but let's look at the money line situation. The Atlanta Braves hosting the Boston Red Sox. Charlie Morton going up against Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta, a higher ERA, but Nick Pivetta has also been really hit hard by Atlanta Braves hitters. We're going to dive into that a little bit more right now. One of the things we talk about is I like to see how pitchers have done against the hitters that are in a certain lineup. So if I look at Nick Pivetta and I check out his stats against the hitters that are going to be featured in the Atlanta Braves lineup, I know that 241 batting average sounds low, but 8 home runs, that's high. 8 home runs, 27 hits, 8 home runs. Not a good ratio if you're a Boston Red Sox fan. 22 RBIs. So, again, 27 hits to 22 RBIs, that's a ratio that's worth betting. Now, 27 strikeouts, sure, but the 8 walks, again, very, very high. So you have to think, who are some hitters in that lineup who are going to cause some trouble? Austin Riley, 333 batting average, 2 home runs in his career against Nick Pivetta. He's definitely a DFS play. He's featured in our DFS lineup. If you want to check out that DFS lineup, there's a link in our bio to our website. We put out a DFS lineup every day. Austin Riley is a player we like to start. 2 home runs in 12 at-bats against Riley, 4 hits, only 2 strikeouts. Not bad, actually, given today's MLB. Another player you want to look to today, Travis d'Arnaud, 3 for 4, small sample size, but he has the home run, 3 RBIs. He also has a double. So you got to consider, in 4 at-bats against Nick Pivetta, he's got 3 hits. 2 of them are extra base hits. So, something to consider. Also want to look at Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton's going to be on the other side. He's pitching for the Braves in this one. And because of his time in the American League East, as well as with the Houston Astros, he has faced some of these Red Sox hitters before. Here you see on the screen, we're showing the stats for Charlie Morton against Boston Red Sox hitters. Verdugo, 3 for 7 lifetime, a couple of doubles. He's a nice play today. Justin Turner has a decent amount of experience, 22 at-bats. Only the 6 hits, but 3 of them extra base hits. Worth noting. Kike Hernandez, 2 for 5. Jarren Duran has only faced him 2 at-bats, but his only hit was a home run. Devers, interestingly enough, Devers, no home runs against Charlie Morton in his career. You wonder if he's due, or if Charlie Morton's curveballs and tendency to kind of jam Devers inside on the hands and kind of down on the feet, if that impacts his ability to turn a ball and actually hit it out. But these are the kinds of stats in which I'm not favoring a certain team right now. As you can tell, I'm not really crazy about Pivetta, but Charlie Morton hasn't exactly dominated the Red Sox hitters as well. So I'm leaning kind of away from this game in terms of a money line play. There is one strong trend that may convince you guys to go with the Braves. The Red Sox are 6-16 on the road off a loss over their last 22 games. So that trend may have some of you considering the Atlanta Braves. But for me, I'm not as crazy about this game because I don't feel really good about either starting pitcher against the lineups that they'll be facing. What I do feel much stronger about is the total. And I mentioned that earlier. Given the weather that's going to be at Truist Park, fewer home runs maybe, but when it comes to actual weather on runs, or fewer home runs rather, but runs, not that bad compared to the rest of Major League Baseball today. These are 2 loaded offenses. The Red Sox have been really hot on the overplay of late. There are actually a few stats that I really like when it comes to the over in this game. One of them being the over has hit in 12 of the Braves' last 14 games against the Red Sox over the last few seasons. These teams actually play decently frequently. The Major League Baseball kind of turned it into one of the rivalry matchups in the interleague play. Mets against the Yankees, Red Sox against the Braves, because both those teams used to be in Boston. So, interestingly enough, these teams have played frequently, so there's a decent amount of information we can take from the past, despite them being interleague opponents. So, for a couple of reasons, I do like the over in this one. If I had to go on a money line play, I think I would lean towards the Atlanta Braves, but it's not with strong conviction, certainly for today's Braves Red Sox game. Yeah, Swifto, I completely agree with you.
An 8-5 Braves game, that sounds right, more because of the run total. I could see the Braves winning this one. 8-6, 8-5, that sounds about right. I think you're going to see a home run from Austin Riley in this one. Wouldn't surprise me. Is Devers due to finally get to Charlie Morton? Maybe, but I think the Red Sox offense will certainly score enough runs along with the Braves to push the total and get you over the top. In fact, real quick, now that we've talked about what the money line look is, I want to briefly look at what
and he can do some impression.
What the total is. Just see if we can get some confirmation on the total play. Oh, we have a strongest trend that really works in our favor. You see it on your screen here. The over is hit in 12 of the Atlanta Braves' last 14. Oh, that's the one I gave you. Okay, so clearly Outlier and I had the same thought on that overplay. We're just looking at data. I don't know why this is showing a recent schedule from October, but unfortunate. Hasn't caught up yet. Anyway. Swift O'Reilly, a plus 280 for the home run. Yeah, not great odds. That's the kind of bet where, I feel like actually for a long shot bet, and not long shot in terms of odds, but home run lingo, I'm not crazy about it because plus 280 actually isn't great for a home run bet. Duran at plus 800 isn't bad. And yeah, 1 for 2 lifetime against Charlie Morton with that one hit being a home run. So just an interesting note, something to keep track of. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're hitting that like button as well. Once we hit 3,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we will give out one of our favorite bets. So make sure you're hitting that like button and get us up to 3,000 likes. Okay, Cheese and Beans. We're here to answer your questions. Cheese and Beans has a question about Diamondbacks on the money line. Maybe it's not a question. Cheese and Beans is saying Diamondbacks money line, no doubt. Well, let's check it. Let's make sure it's a no doubter. Diamondbacks on the money line against I believe it's the Miami Marlins. Yes, it is. Cheese and Beans, Diamondbacks money line, making the guarantee. Well, I don't know about it. Luzardo is actually a decent pitcher. The 3.66 ERA, don't let that fool you. He's even more talented than that. Meanwhile, one start, young kid got blown up. Brandon Pat? I don't know how to pronounce that name. Paddock? Here's a good trend, though, that works in your favor, Cheese and Beans, that we're seeing on the Outlier app. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 12-5 versus the Miami Marlins at home over the last 17 games. So, interesting stat right there. Something to consider. Decent odds on, minus 115. That's actually a good play for a money line play, especially when it's a team that's usually favored. The money, the odds movement, the line movement on this one, minus 110 to minus 115. It's kind of fluctuated. Hasn't been crazy. Marlins are struggling. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Lost to the Diamondbacks yesterday, 5-2. But Zach Gallen was on the mound yesterday. We talked about that. We really liked the Diamondbacks yesterday. That was a money line play we were definitely about. Head to head, you see Diamondbacks have been the better team, obviously, and we mentioned that stat, 12-5 over their last 17 against them. Diamondbacks actually been playing good baseball. Won 4 of their last 5. Okay, you got me, Cheese and Beans. I'll take Diamondbacks on the money line. I'm not crazy about it, like I said, only because I like the starting pitcher of the Marlins a little bit more. But you talked me into it. I'm willing to consider it. Not a game that will have my money, but a game that I would say, yeah, Diamondbacks is a decent play. Zozo and Evan, never bet against Jesus Luzardo, or never bet against the Jesus. Alexander, Interesting. Athletics winning outright today. Interesting. Are you saying that because of Clark Schmidt? I know Clark Schmidt has been a pitcher who's been worth fading over the last few starts. He's really struggled. Let's dive into that game a little bit. That's the Oakland Athletics going up against the New York Yankees. Again, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we will give out a favorite bet of the day. So once we hit 3,000 likes, we'll give out another favorite bet of the day. We're looking at the Oakland Athletics against the New York Yankees in the Bronx today. Here's the strongest trend that we're seeing on Outlier. The New York Yankees are 13-4 versus the A's at home over their last 17. Yankees came back and won last night. That was not a great game, honestly, because the Yankees should have had that game, gave it up, then came back and won it. But the fact that they had to battle Oakland like they did wasn't the best luck ever. Looking at a couple of the notes for this game, I want to look at the starting pitchers. Clark Schmidt, he's been garbage this year, I'm not going to lie. 0-3, 5.83 ERA, and he's had plenty of opportunities. Once you get to 29 innings, you're getting to 30 innings. That's enough time to be like, okay, Clark Schmidt got it. But Oakland's throwing out someone who's, I know it's only 9 innings, but he's giving up runs too. So not a great starting pitcher matchup in the Bronx tonight, but interesting, Alexander, that you're going with the A's outright. Let's check covers.com. Covers.com is a great place to find trends. Another place that Butt Fumble Sports turns to find some really good trends and good information. Let's check out what they have some of the trends that they have on that Oakland Yankees game. Here you can see it on the screen if you're watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube. What's the total for today's game? Total. By the way, you know what's so funny? I'm so used to using a Mac at this point that I use these shortcuts, and they don't work on the PC that we use to broadcast the show. And so I'm making all these shortcut moves on the keyboard, and none of them seem to work, obviously. And I get frustrated so quickly because I'm like, what the hell? Okay, the total for this one is 8.5 runs. 8.5 runs. So let's see. Any good trends? The Athletics are 4-37 in their last 51 road games, where the total is set between 7 and 8.5 runs. The A's are 8-21 in their last 29 in Game 2 of a series. Not inspiring a lot of confidence in the Athletics here, Alexander. The A's are 3-13 in their last 16 meetings in New York. That's straight up. The A's are 2-6 in their last 8 meetings against the Yankees. That's straight up. For a number of reasons, I'm going with the Yankees today. I'll take Yankees on the money line. Yankees are 4-1 in their last 5 after scoring 5 runs or more in the previous game. The Yankees are 6-2 in their last 8 home games versus a right-handed starter. By the way, I believe Aaron Judge is coming back today. If I'm not mistaken, Aaron Judge is coming back from the IL. Let's double check that. I don't want to give out wrong information. Yeah, Aaron Judge likely to come back today. Aaron Judge expected to come back. Following roster moves, Yankees have reinstated. Okay, Oswaldo Peraza is back to the minors. Aaron Judge, or no, they placed Peraza on the IL and put Judge in the active roster. So there you go. Aaron Judge back in the lineup. A lot of the trends speaking to the Oakland Athletics, being a loser, being a dog. Sorry, Alexander. I'm going to go with the New York Yankees on this one. Definitely prefer that one. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're following Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time we go live. Right now we're live on TikTok Live, YouTube Live, and on Instagram Live. If you're watching on Instagram Live, you are getting a behind-the-scenes view, hence the green screen behind me. So not the fanciest view. If you want to check out our full screen view and see me doing the research in real time on the screen, go to YouTube. Check us out right now. Our YouTube channel is Butt Fumble Sports. Make sure you're subscribed to it. Appreciate those who are watching on TikTok Live. Swifto, appreciate the follow. Make sure you're following us. That way you know every time we go live. We're going to be live every single day, talking sports, giving out sports betting advice, and obviously ranting with you guys about sports. So you never want to miss an opportunity to talk with us. make sure you follow us. And like I mentioned a moment ago, every time we hit another 1,000 likes on TikTok Live, we will give out one of our favorite bets of the day. So once we hit 3,000 likes, we'll give out another one. The first two that we gave out today, just as a reminder to everybody, Joel Embiid over 28.5 points. I'm taking that at minus 120, making sure you can see it on the screen. Joel Embiid over 28.5 points at minus 120. And Nikola Jokic over 13.5 rebounds at minus 125. Make sure you guys hit that like button, get us up to 3,000 likes so we can give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. Okay, guys, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. Happy to answer all the bets you like tonight. LRK425 is asking about the Kraken tonight. We haven't talked any hockey, so let's take a spin on the ice and see if we like the Kraken. Their puck drops at 9:30 tonight. Kraken are underdogs despite being at home. We just hit 3,000 likes because you guys are absolute ballers. So give me 1 second to answer this question, and we'll give out one of our favorite bets of the night because you guys hit that like button and got us up to 3,000 likes. Let's see if we like the Kraken or the Stars for tonight's game. Interestingly enough, the line movement has shifted away from the Kraken over the last few hours. So public money coming down on Dallas. Are there any insights we really like for this one? There aren't too many trends for this that I really like, and a large part of that is because the Kraken are kind of the anomaly of the NHL. By the way, I also want to bring this up because we talked about it yesterday. LRK425, hockey is a brutal sport to bet, and I want to make sure that when I give out sports betting advice that I'm as earnest as I can be. Hockey is not one of our strengths because hockey is, I believe, the most challenging sport to bet because we really are just throwing a puck out there and seeing how it spins on ice. And there is a lot of reasons for me to kind of fade this game. So I don't have a strong leaning in this one either way. I was hoping our Outlier app was going to be able to give us some kind of insight. But for a lot of reasons, I'm not really confident about this game. There are reasons for me to like the underdog Kraken, only because at home, plus 118, but then I remind myself that home ice advantage really means very little in the NHL playoffs. I'm more than happy to dive into the covers.com trends on this one to see if there's something that comes out of it. We'll jump over into that real quick just to try to answer your question, to give you a little bit of insight, LRK, see if we can find something. Head-to-head, over is 6-0 in the last 6 meetings. I can give you that one. The over seems to be a strong play based on the trends. So the over is something to look at. Man, the over is definitely a strong trend. But, man, I don't have a strong leaning on this one. The trends probably, based off of what we're seeing on covers, favor the Stars slightly, but sorry, LRK, it's not one I really like. The only bet I'm seeing from this Stars-Kraken game that I would go with is an overplay. That's the only thing that really stands out. Okay, appreciate you guys joining us. You guys hit that like button because you guys are absolute bosses and took us up to 3,000 likes on TikTok Live. And as I promised, every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we will give out one of our favorite bets of the day. You can see our first two up on the screen right now. So want to give out our third favorite bet of the day. And we will go to, let's do some baseball. Let's do some baseball, and we're going to do one that I'm sure everyone's paying attention to, and it's the Tigers and the Guardians. Who's not watching the Tigers-Guardians game tonight? But in that Tigers-Guardians game, we've got our eye on Josh Bell. He's going up against Michael Lorenz, the starter of the Tigers. He actually has a good history against Lorenz in his career. Plus, Josh Bell has exceeded over half a hit in 9 of his last 10 games after a win. Bell is actually averaging 1.2 hits per game after a Guardians win. So we are going to take the over half a hit today for Josh Bell. And I am getting that at minus 135. So that's Josh Bell over half a hit. I'm getting that at I got a minus 135. I'm seeing it now. It's shifted up to minus 140. But the whole point is Josh Bell over half a hit, minus 140. So one of our favorite bets of the day comes from baseball. I know it seems obscure, but that's what we love about this Outlier app. We can find some great bets that are kind of obscure, hence the Outlier name. Find some off-the-radar plays, and one of them, Josh Bell over half a hit. He has a favorable matchup as a starting pitcher on the mound that he has a good history against, and he has at least a hit in 9 of his last 10 games after a Guardians win. Guardians won yesterday, so we'll see how they do today, and we'll see how Josh Bell does, but that's our third favorite bet of the day. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we give out another favorite bet of the day, so keep hitting that like button. Get us up to 4,000 likes, and we will give out another favorite bet. Okay, One Big Deal 22 is asking about the Pirates-Rockies game and asking if we can dive into it. Of course we can. Appreciate you asking for it. Let's check it. Now here's the one question I have. One Big Deal 22. What is your what part of that game are you looking at? Are you looking towards the total? Are you looking towards a money line play or a run line play? Really quick, we'll check to see what the weather is expected to be in Pittsburgh. Again, the website we like to go to for MLB weather is called ballparkpal.com. If you go to ballparkpal.com and park factors, you can see how the weather is supposed to impact home run probability, extra base probability, singles, and runs. Okay, One Big Deal 22's asking about, I'm thinking Pirates, first 5 minus half a run. Let's check it. The weather, you actually have a decent, that's not bad given the weather that we have across the country. Fewer home run, lower on the home run percentage, but not bad on runs. Extra base hits is actually plus 6%. It's one of the better percentages of the day. So decent chance for some offense. Definitely something to like about that game. Now let's quickly look. I want to see the starting pitcher for that one. I'm looking at covers.com for that. Connor Siebold, Luis Ortiz. Let's see if we can find some quick trends. I know this isn't about the first 5 innings, but want to check it. Here's a couple good trends in your favor, I will say that. Rockies 0-5 in their last 5 meetings against the Pirates. Rockies are 2-6 in their last 8 meetings in Pittsburgh. The under, strong play as well. So for a number of reasons, really like it. Yeah, One Big Deal. I don't know much about Luis Ortiz. That was the thing that was throwing me off. So I don't, yeah. Luis Ortiz, Connor Siebold, I know because he was a prospect with the Red Sox. Don't have much confidence in him, but Luis Ortiz, yeah, don't know much about him. I do like that probability though that you're finding on covers.com, the 72% of Pittsburgh coming out with a win. You've obviously seen a line movement there. Let's shift back over to Outlier, see if we can get some information here. Luis Ortiz, no data. Connor Siebold, it's interesting. He faced Pittsburgh earlier this year, just the 2.1 innings, pitched well actually. So maybe they used him as an opener. You know, very, very interesting. Wouldn't, again, I'm not crazy about him as a pitcher. I've seen him enough to think actually that he's someone you want to fade, but interesting that he actually has a little bit of experience against the Pirates. That actually might work for the Pirates because they've now seen him. Head to head, Pirates have been winning 5 games in a row against the Rockies. They finally won after that cold stretch. One big deal, one of the reasons I'm leaning towards Pittsburgh is because it definitely seems like Pittsburgh is a team that plays lesser teams well and loses to the better teams. Rockies are certainly on the bottom end of Major League Baseball right now. I'm not seeing any data for first five. Here's a good stat, though. Here's a good trend, rather, that'll work in your favor. Pirates are 4-0 versus the Rockies in 2023. So they've already faced each other. One big deal 2022, I would go with Pittsburgh today. I don't have a ton of confidence in it. I actually like that they have a rookie on the mound, only because Rocky hitters haven't seen him. Obviously, it's a big chance with rookies. I usually don't like betting on rookies. But if you had to ask me which way I'm leaning on this one, it would be towards Pittsburgh. Interesting that you're thinking first five. I was thinking overall, just Pittsburgh outright on the money line. But first five might be an interesting play. Pittsburgh, if they're going to be successful today, it's jump out and take the win. It's to jump out and take an early lead. User 64, I'm kind of with you on the over. I know there were some trends from the history of these two teams that would suggest the under. The weather actually kind of isn't that bad, given that across the country, weather really isn't great today for a lot of scoring. But you see, it's only minus 2% on the runs. So not bad. Definitely don't think you're going to get the home runs. But the extra base hits and the singles, that has a positive percentage increase because of the weather. Yeah, Blease is asking about how the weather will impact this game. What we're seeing is wind is going to be pushing out to right center. So maybe that's going to impact, the ability to get some home runs. But extra base hits, extra hits, feels like it looks like the weather is actually going to play a positive role in that Rockies-Pittsburgh Pirates game. So the over is something to consider. That was something that was brought up by user 6441. Appreciate the question. Okay, Timbo D. Know you asked about this earlier. Forgive me for not getting to it sooner. The under in the Tampa Bay-Baltimore game. Timbo, let's take a look at it. And again, we're going to start right here. Okay, looking at Oriole Park, minus 15% on home runs, minus 7% on extra base hits, just the plus 1% on singles, but negative 9% on overall runs. So we're already off to a good start, Timbo, in the under there. Let's dive into it a little bit deeper using that Outlier app. We're looking at under 8 runs in the Rays-Orioles game. Under 8 runs in the Rays-Orioles game. Grayson Rodriguez, rookie for the Orioles. 5.46 ERA. I don't think too much of that. He's a rookie, still trying to figure out his way in MLB. What's so interesting about it is, I like that. I like nearly 12 strikeouts per 9. So he's getting strikeouts. I really like that because when it comes to an underplay, I want the ability to, if he gets into trouble, his ability to pitch his way out of it. So, Timbo, you were looking towards the over in that game. We'll get to Eflin in a minute. Let me continue to cover on the under, and then we'll get to Eflin in just a second. Eflin, to your question just a second ago, 9.96 Ks per 9. It's actually a decent. He's pitched 28 innings, so at this point, it's a pretty good sample size from which to pull from. I do want to look. We haven't gone here yet, but we're gonna go. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. I still want to focus on the over/under. Line movement has shifted this down from 8.5 down to 8. There you see the line movement here on your screen right there. If you're watching on TikTok Live and YouTube, it shifted down from the morning. And if you look at how these two teams have performed against each other, head-to-head, the under actually has been a decent play. 3 out of the last 5. It's obviously under yesterday. Orioles have had back-to-back under plays. The Rays under 3 out of the last 5. Okay, where I want to go, now that I would lean towards the under in this game. The answer is I would lean towards the under in the Rays-Orioles game, Timbo. Now you asked about Zach Eflin. And to Zach Eflin, we saw what his strikeouts per 9 was. Strong. But we haven't actually looked, we haven't used this data yet. Another website that I absolutely love, and this is an obvious one for anyone who loves baseball, Fangraphs.com. Fangraphs.com is, I think, the best data website for baseball like ever created. It is unbelievable. When I worked in sports media for years, and a number of the really talented, not just behind the scenes stat guys, but some of the really talented players, guys who would go on to be managers. One of them is currently a manager in Major League Baseball, actually. He lived by Fangraphs, and I definitely got into it. So I wanted to look up how a team performs right-handed pitcher. It's right-handed pitcher at home because it's the Orioles. Okay. I want to see how the Orioles have done against a right-handed pitcher at home. Zach Eflin being a right-handed pitcher. I'm just curious to know if the Orioles are a high strikeout team. And the answer is no. The answer is no, actually. And this is an interesting stat here for you, Timbo. But the Orioles this year are actually the best team in terms of not striking out against right-handed pitchers when they're at home. Interesting note. Interesting note. When it comes to strikeouts, the Orioles are the best team. And we have a large enough sample size now. Oh, wait a minute. Let me double check this. Yeah. This is correct. This is correct. So this is 2023. You're seeing the number of plate appearances, 273. Only 62 strikeouts. Only 62 strikeouts despite that number of plate appearances. So what did we have on the Zach Eflin total strikeouts today? Alexander, if you could throw Zach Eflin, we'll look at it on the player props on Outlier, but I'm curious to know what you're getting that at, because just based off of that little note about Baltimore against right-handed starters, that's an interesting note there. By the way, appreciate you guys hitting that like button. I know we've hit now 5,000 likes. We will give out some of our favorite bets of the day, so don't worry. That's an IOU that I'm gonna pay out in just a second. But I want to continue to look into this Zach Eflin over strikeouts. Want to dive down this rabbit hole a little bit. Looks like it's 4.5 right now. Yep, Timbo, 4.5. So we're looking at Zach Eflin. Want to make sure I'm showing it correctly on the screen. So Zach Eflin, there you see. With the implied probability, the under is the stronger play. There's a part of me that likes that automatically from what I just saw about the Baltimore Orioles being a good contact team. Again, Orioles are the best contact team, fewest strikeouts at home against right-handed pitching. Really interesting stat. So, Timbo, 4.5 off the cuff seems a little high. Oh, but an interesting stat here. Let's check this. So this is over his last 10. He's actually performed pretty well. But here's the thing though. Look at the teams he did it against. So the over is hit in 4 of his last 5 starts, right? But Timbo, look at who these starts are against. The Pirates, the White Sox, the Athletics, the Tigers. So this is going to be the best lineup that he faces. I mean, he hasn't faced a lineup this good since literally June of last year because he was hurt. For a number of reasons, I would go on the under today. Timbo, I would go under 4.5 strikeouts. Believe it or not, I know 4.5 seems low, but for reasons that I feel good about, I would avoid it today. I would play the under, Zach Eflin under 4.5 strikeouts against the Baltimore Orioles today. The stat that really stood out to me was the strikeout totals for the Orioles. The fact that they're last in baseball at home against right-handed pitching and strikeouts, that says a lot. They have a lot of left-handed hitters, by the way. A lot of left-handed hitters in that Orioles lineup. You think Cedric Mullins, Rutschman, Santander, Gunnar Henderson. There are a number of left-handed hitters in that lineup. So for a lot of reasons, I would play the under on Zach Eflin strikeouts. So that's where we come out, Timbo. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're hitting that follow button, more importantly. Make sure you follow Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time we go live. Hope you're enjoying the show. We are live every single day with this sports betting show, giving out advice, looking at trends, doing our research right in front of you, just like we just did. If you're watching on Instagram Live, make sure you follow us, subscribe, all those things. But if you want to check out more of our content, you can check out our website, buttfumblesports.com. There's also a link there that can take you to other shows or to our live show, because if you want to get the graphics, you need to watch on TikTok Live or YouTube. Instagram Live, you're just seeing this green screen behind me, so a completely different view. But if you want to be able to see the same research that everyone else is seeing, go to our YouTube channel, Butt Fumble Sports. Okay, I have an IOU that I owe you guys. We will absolutely pay that off right now. We've already hit 5,000 likes because you guys are ballers. You're awesome. You've been incredibly supportive. So we have 2 best bets that we owe you. We've already given out 3. The first 3, I'm going to say it for the people who are watching on Instagram Live, but the 3 best bets that we have so far, they're up on your screen if you're watching on YouTube and TikTok. Joel Embiid, over 28.5 points. I'm getting that at -120. Nikola Jokic, over 13.5 rebounds at -125. And Josh Bell, over half a hit at -140. So that's Josh Bell getting a hit today at -140. We owe you guys 2 best bets today. We're going to do it from the same game. We're going to go back to the NBA, give out more of these player prop bets from the NBA. The first one I'm going to give you is a Boston Celtic, and the first one's going to be Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, what are we doing for Jaylen Brown? We're going to go with his assist total. We expect Jaylen Brown to be offensively aggressive, but we expect him to also be distributing the basketball tonight. So Jaylen Brown, we like over 3.5 assists tonight, and I'm getting that at -130. Jaylen Brown has exceeded 3.5 assists in 6 straight games against a top 10 scoring defense. Again, 6 straight games in a row, Jaylen Brown has hit the over 3.5 assists when he's going up against a top 10 scoring defense. The 76ers are just that. So Jaylen Brown, over 3.5 assists at -130 is our 4th favorite bet of the day. We have one more to give you because we hit 5,000 likes. And this one, again, we already gave out a Joel Embiid points bet, but we're going back to Joel Embiid. And this is going to kind of play into that over on his points. Joel Embiid, 3-pointer. We're going to go over half a 3-pointer made. So we expect Joel Embiid will hit a 3-point shot at some point during this game. We're getting that at -125. So for those that are watching on Instagram Live who can't see this on their screen right now, let me remind you what the 2 best bets we just gave out. Jaylen Brown, over 3.5 assists. We're getting that at -130. The reasoning behind that, Brown has exceeded 3.5 assists in 6 straight games against top 10 defenses. 76ers are a top 10 scoring defense. Brown's actually averaging over 5 assists per game in that scenario. So Jaylen Brown, over 3.5 assists at -130 is one of our favorite bets of the day. And the other one that we gave out because we hit 5,000 likes is Joel Embiid to make a 3-pointer tonight. I'm getting that at -125. I like the fact that I compare that with his over points total. We expect Joel Embiid is just going to be aggressive, a good scorer. He is a good offensive weapon against the Boston Celtics. He puts up good points against them. So for a number of reasons, we like it. Getting a question here on Instagram Live, Mr. Texan 7. What's CJ Stroud's stats when he was in college? If you want to check out CJ Stroud's stats, there are plenty of places for it. You can check it out on college football football reference, I believe. You can check out his college football stats. So I'm showing them up on the screen just so you can see it if you're watching across. But sportsreference.com, you can check out his college football stats. So Mr. Texans 7, Stroud is a really accurate quarterback. I think you're going to be very happy with him with the Houston Texans. So for a lot of reasons, Mr. Texans 7, I think there's reason to like your draft pick. Okay, appreciate all you guys joining us across TikTok Live, Instagram Live, and YouTube Live. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're subscribing. We have a daily betting show every single day. We are live across these different platforms so we can hand out trends, information, show you how we do our research, kind of pull the veil back on how we do our sports betting research. That way you guys can learn a little bit, whether you follow us or fade us. Hey, we're not always right. We do the best we can. We follow information. But if you want to follow or fade, we try to make you guys smarter. That way you either learn something or, more importantly, hopefully you cash a lot of tickets when you do your sports betting. We do also talk about DFS. We will talk about MLB fantasy throughout our shows. Maybe not on this one necessarily as we answer some of your questions. But if you like playing Major League Baseball DFS, don't worry. We'll also do that as well. If you want to check out our DFS lineup, hit the link in our bio. Takes you right to our website, buttfumblesports.com. I don't think we're going to be able to get to our DFS lineup building today. We have enough questions going on in the chat that I want to make sure that we get to all these sports betting questions. But usually throughout each show, we actually will build a DFS lineup together, and that way you can see the games I want to stack, the players that have a really good matchup against the starting pitcher they'll be facing. So if you do like playing Major League Baseball DFS, make sure you follow us, make sure you check out our accounts. Also, again, hit the link in our bio, go to our website, buttfumblesports.com. You can sign up for our free newsletter, as well as check out our DFS lineup of the day. And again, in case you're wondering what that is, here you go. We just actually posted our NBA pick for the Heat and the Knicks tomorrow night. But we also post this DFS lineup for the day, as well as our favorite MLB bets of the day. So hit that link in our bio. Takes you right to our website, buttfumblesports.com. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Mr. Texan number 7 has given us a lot of talk from down south and deep in the heart of Texas. And so, what I will say, Mr. Texan, because you've been a great viewer, is you're asking about the San Antonio Spurs. How can the Spurs become winners again? I know this is a random topic for everybody else, but how can the Spurs all of a sudden emerge and be a successful team? His name is Victor Wembanyama. He is the greatest prospect in the history of the NBA, and if the San Antonio Spurs are lucky enough like they were when they drafted Tim Duncan, the lottery odds will favor them. They will get Victor Wembanyama, and all of a sudden, Popovich will all of a sudden have his unicorn superstar to build a franchise around once again. But if the if the Spurs don't get Victor Wembanyama, there are still really good players at number 2 and number 3. But obviously, how can the Spurs all of a sudden go from one of the worst teams in the NBA to, again, being one of the better ones? His name is Victor Wembanyama, and he is the ultimate prize of any draft class, the LeBron James draft class included. So that's Mr. Texan, my thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs. Let's get back to some of these questions on TikTok Live and answering some of them. Again, hit that like button. Once we hit 6,000 likes, I'll give out another favorite bet of the day. One Big Deal 2022, another big betting game I had circled today was the Mets game, looking at several angles. We talked about that one a little bit earlier. We were leaning towards the Mets on the money line in that one. And I believe we were leaning slightly towards them on the run line as well, thinking there was a chance to get some runs in that game because that was one of the few ballparks that had a good weather situation. Bradley P18, dude, that dude is a stick figure and has been exploited by folks that have skill. I'm going to disagree with you. I think he's Kevin Durant with 4 extra inches, so I know he seems scrawny, but he actually plays in the French Pro League, so he's dealt with the physicality of grown men. I think that Victor Wembanyama is going to be a superstar. I don't think he's like a Chet Holmgren, who really is like a skeleton with skin on. Victor Wembanyama, I actually think is much stronger than people think. He's just really tall, but I actually think he can bang a little bit more than people think. Again, think Kevin Durant. Yes, he may be susceptible to lower leg injuries, but the talent is enormous. I understand why LeBron James might be actually a better a prospect overall because the physicality, the likelihood of getting injured is less. But Wembanyama literally has guard skills with 7'4" height. Like, have we ever seen that before? That's like a creative player in 2K. So, anyway, want to get back to it. One Big Deal. You're asking about the over in the Reds Mets game. Man, the over is set at 10 runs. That seems really high to me. Diving into it a little bit more. Do I think the Suns will win it all this year? No, I don't. I don't think the Suns will win it all this year. I actually think their lack of a bench. I'm asking a question, answering a question on Instagram Live. I think the bench of the Suns being so depleted in that Kevin Durant trade will ultimately be their downfall in either this series, the next series, or in the NBA Finals. At some point, I don't think Booker and Durant can two-man their way to a title. Okay, looking at this Mets-Reds game, we're looking at the over-under here. If this game were set at 8.5, I'd like the over. Like this over at minus 180, that's where I like it. To answer your question, One Big Deal 2022, I'm not really crazy about it at 10. That seems really high to me. That seems really high. Like, the Mets on over 10 runs, they just haven't been scoring enough lately. Like, they're just not offensively capable right now of scoring enough runs. You could see how the Mets have done recently. They're not getting over 10 runs lately. Head to head, 2 out of the last, man. Not crazy about it. If I'm if one big deal 2022, I would lean towards the under the 10 runs with Scherzer on the mound. The weather again, we go to the ballpark, pal. Man, it's tough because it's actually one of the few games that really does have favorable offensive weather. Plus 18% on home runs. Like, wow. One big deal 2022. This is a tough one for me. On one hand, I really don't. Again, I liked it at 8.5. I'm not crazy about it at 10. It seems really high to me. I'm fading it. One big deal 2022. I wouldn't put my money down on it, but for a number of reasons, I can understand why you've got your eye on it. It's a tough one for me. Frankly, if it wasn't Scherzer, I feel like Scherzer's and I shouldn't be doing that because Scherzer has not been great of late, but let's take a look at how the Mets have done against right-handed starters while they're on the road. Oh, that's left-handed starters on the road. I want right-handed starters on the road. Let's check out their batting average. Okay, 13th. 58 runs. Let's see how the total runs. They're kind of middle of the pack. Let's see how the Reds at home against a right-handed starter are. Reds at home against a right-handed starter have 70 runs. Wow, did not expect that to be the case. Okay, now I like the over a little bit more. The Reds, yeah. Scherzer's been getting rocked a little bit. The Reds are actually a decent team scoring runs at home against right-handed starters. The weather is in that favor. Let's go to one other place. I want to look at one other trend before we look into it. Yeah, Scherzer has been bumming of late. Like, he hasn't... There might be something to that stickiness. I don't want to take too much from the guy. I know he's a Hall of Famer. But that rosin incident, and all of a sudden, he isn't pitching as well. Like, it does beg the question. Okay, I'm throwing up on the screen some of these trends. We're looking at the over-under in the Mets-Reds game. Weather favors the over. Mets are the over is 6-1 in the Mets' last 7 days off and off day. Interesting. We have the run total is set at 10. The under's 9-2-1 in the Mets' last 12 games with a total set at 10 runs. So that's not great. Over 3-1-1 in the Mets' last 5 road games. Interesting. Appreciate you guys throwing your questions on Instagram Live. We'll get to those in a second. We're just doing our research. By the way, if you guys on Instagram Live don't like the behind-the-scenes view, go to our YouTube channel, Butt Fumble Sports. You can see the research we're doing live on the screen. But here, the Reds, over is a strong play for the Reds. The over is 4-0 in the Reds' last 4 in a first game of a series. The over is a strong play against the NL East. The over is a strong play. I'm going to go with the over. You talked me into it. One big deal 2022. So we've gone a full 180 on this one, and we like the over over in the Reds-Mets game, over 10 runs. Did not expect that to be the case, but this is a perfect example. You do your research. Don't go off of brand names. I was almost falling into the trap. Max Scherzer, he's been struggling of late. He's not the Max Scherzer of the last few years. A number of reasons for us to look. The weather is in favor of the over. The trends are in favor of the over. The Reds are actually a better team when it comes to scoring runs at home against right-handed pitchers than we thought. So for a number of reasons, the over is a pretty strong play. Definitely like it. So yeah, we've got a full 180 on that one big deal 2022. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we hit, I believe, where are we at now with the likes, Blease? Once we hit 6,000 likes, I believe, we'll give out our favorite bet, our next favorite bet of the day. You can see on the screen right now the first 5 favorite bets of the day that we've put out there. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we give out a favorite bet. So hit that like button as many times as you can, and we will give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. A couple of things people were asking about on Instagram Live. 2 high ERA slingers at Wrigley tonight. We think in the over, which is 8 runs. Okay, let's dive into that a little bit. We're looking at the over-under in the Cubs game, Cubs-Cardinals tonight. The over is set, or the total is set at 8 runs. So we're diving into this one a little bit. Yeah, we're trying to get up to 6,000 likes, guys. 6,000 likes. We'll give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. Okay. Bradley's asking about the total in the Cubs-Cardinals game, and I want to actually, we have it up on the screen, but before we dive into the outlier data on this one, let's go to the weather, because actually, I looked at this game last night, and this game is the worst game when it comes to total with the weather against the total over. So I know I just butchered how I said that, but Wrigley Field has terrible weather today. The wind will be blowing in. It's expected to be cold. When it comes to home runs, the likelihood of a home run goes down by 39% due to the weather. Extra base hits are down 14% due to the weather. And hits, negative 2%. Total runs, minus 25% on total runs. So I guess I'm making it pretty obvious to say under in the Cardinals-Cubs game. The under in the Cubs-Cardinals game absolutely is one of the plays today, just based off of the weather. We'll dive into the Outlier app a little bit more. Interestingly enough, we're actually getting helped out. The line movement has pushed this total up from 7.5 to 8. If we're lucky enough, maybe it could push up to 8.5, but I wouldn't wait too long on it. I doubt that'll actually happen. I love the under in this one. Under. The weather is telling me that. Tyone actually is a decent pitcher, especially with weather. I actually think he's going to be a tougher pitcher to hit. He pitches a heavier ball, a lot of ground balls. Jack Flaherty can be a strikeout guy. ERA's a little bit high, obviously. Hasn't pitched that well, but for a number of reasons, the under is where I'm looking at. It was a 3-1 game. I know that the Cardinals have been in some over games of late. If you see on the screen, they've been in some over games of late. But head-to-head, the under. Back-to-back games. I know that last one, the other game's from September. Look at the Cubs, though. This is the trend we're looking for. The under 4-1 in the Cubs' last 5 games, and if the run total had been set at 8 runs, it would still be 4-1 on the under. So for a number of reasons, for Bradley, who was asking on Instagram Live, we like the under in the Cubs-Cardinals game. Number of reasons we like that. So the under in the Cubs-Cardinals game. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we get up to 6,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. If you guys have questions on Instagram Live, YouTube Live, or TikTok Live, we have people tracking it, so we have a way of getting all your questions answered here on the show. So throw those questions in the chat. We're here for all of it. What's my favorite football team is the question we're getting from Nas. Well, I grew up in New England, but at this point, I've worked in sports media for over 15 years, so I just love sports, but I was fortunate enough to grow up in a fortunate time where I did and when I did, but at this point, we just love sports, and no, we don't really have a favorite team anymore. We've kind of grown out of that. Let's put it this way. We like teams that win. We love teams that cover. To the old line, good teams win, great teams cover. We like teams that win. We love teams that cover. We love teams that cover. Our favorite team is the team that covers. Okay, Swifto, parlay Braves and over the total 9.5 runs. Well, we brought that one up earlier, and the answer is yes. I would lean towards, I love the over in that game. Over in the Braves Red Sox game is one of our favorite plays of the day in Major League Baseball, but I would lean towards the Braves on that one on the money line as well. Nick Pivetta has really bad stats against the Braves hitters. Charlie Morton has a little bit more success against the Red Sox starters, but for a number of reasons, I like the over in that one. Definitely feels like a great overplay in that game. Okay, looking at first run in the Miami Marlins Arizona Diamondbacks game. Man, there is a bet in baseball that I rarely touch, and it is first run scoring. I only do it when there is like a no-brainer for me, like when a starting pitcher has just terrible stats against like the top 3 guys in a lineup, I'll do it then. But I rarely go with that. I rarely bet first run scoring because I really hate it. I find it's like the fastest. I find it a fast way to lose your money. So that's the reason I don't bet it. There aren't a lot of great data points around it. So for a number of reasons, I'm not going to jump into that one, only because I don't have a lot of good data sources, and it's not a bet that I have great instincts on. So for that reason, sorry, just not a bet we usually touch. Fredamore 5, fade the Mets. At this point, I feel like everyone should be fading the Mets, including Met fans. I have more Met fans who are telling me that they're like out on the Mets, which is hilarious to me because Met fans are like, this time of year, they're like the greatest believers. I feel like Met fans, they are the ultimate optimists in like April and May, and then their soul is slowly crushed throughout the course of a season. This year, I feel like it's reversed. I feel like Met fans like started the season hopeful and then like immediately went into like it's all over mode, and then I feel like are slowly going to build back their optimism as we get later into the season. But like watching Met fans like self-destruct is hilarious to me. I absolutely love it. Could eat it by the spoonful. So if the Mets keep losing, I would have no problem with it. It is a lot of entertainment for me as someone who is not a Mets fan rather. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we get up to 6,000 likes, we will do another favorite bet of the day. Vitamin here on Instagram Live says he likes the under in the Braves Red Sox game. Vitamin, we're only going off the trends and what we saw. These two teams, really strong overplay for these two teams. Curious to know why you like the under. These are two starting pitchers who don't have a great history against the hitters they'll be facing. The weather actually is in favor of the over just slightly. And there's a lot of data that suggests the Red Sox are a really strong overplay even on the road. So I like the over in that Red Sox-Braves game. By the way, if we haven't said it enough, we are so grateful for the support you guys show us. All you guys watching, all you guys throwing in your comments and your questions, joining in and engaging with us. You guys are awesome. And again, because of your support, we're able to put this all together and bring it to you every single day. So make sure you follow us. That way you know every time we go live. And you can, of course, join the conversation. Okay, Vitamin's asking about on Instagram Live, why do we like Corbin for our daily fantasy lineup? He has great stats against the hitters he'll be facing today. And in that game... By the way, I want to double check that really quick. So, also, in that Nationals Giants game, one of the reasons we really like that, when it comes to the weather, that's a game that's going to have a really low percentage of home runs. That actually, in terms of likelihood of home runs, that game has the second lowest probability of home runs today. Is that Nationals-Giants game. And the Giants have a lineup that isn't good against left-handed pitching. So for a number of reasons, I like Corbin, and I liked him at the price I got him at. So the reason, Vitamin, that I liked him in my DFS lineup is I like the weather towards the under. I like Corbin's stats against the San Francisco Giant hitters, and the fact that I can load up the rest of my lineup with maybe some bigger names, Ohtani on the bump, Perez behind the dish, Freeman, Riley at third base. Corbin was a good price. So it's also about finding the right fit for the puzzle that is a DFS lineup. That's why I like Corbin today. Appreciate all you guys joining us. I know we hit 6,000 likes, so I owe you guys one of our favorite bets of the day. Definitely want to pay that one off, so let's go to my favorite bets of the day sheet and hand out another one. This is for hitting 6,000 likes because you guys are ballers, and hit that like button on TikTok Live. We have another baseball bet of the day, and again, the baseball bets can sometimes be a little bit more obscure, can be kind of off the radar, but we try to find bets that are going to stand out, that are going to be good plays for you, and for a number of reasons, we like the under. This is, again, a game that you guys probably aren't paying attention to the way that we are, but we like the under. We like Tigers, Guardians, under 7.5 runs. And we're getting that at -1. Is it -110? -120? Need to double check what the odds are for that one. So give me 1 second, because I want to make sure I give you guys the accurate odds for that. But we like the under 7.5 runs, under -110. -110. So there you go. Tigers Guardians. One of our favorite bets of the day is the under in the Tigers Guardians game. Here are a couple reasons why we're showing that bet up. I want to make sure you guys can see it on the screen. So one of our favorite bets of the day, Tigers Guardians under 7.5 runs. Here's our reasoning behind that. First of all, Shane Bieber on the bump for the Cleveland Guardians. He's an absolute stud, has great numbers against the Tiger hitters, so feel really good about him on the bump. But also, the under is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings between the two teams. The under is 6-1-1 in the Tigers' last 8 road games versus a right-handed starter. And the under is 6-0. Again, the under is 6-0 in the Guardians' last 6 home games with a total set between 7 and 8.5 runs. The total is set at 7.5 runs today. So again, one of our favorite bets of the day. I know we've been putting out a lot of player prop bets, but we're going to under 7.5 runs in the Tigers-Guardians game. So that's another one of our favorite bets. If you guys want to check out all of our favorite bets, you can check them out right now on YouTube and on TikTok Live. If you're watching on Instagram Live, you're getting a behind-the-scenes view, hence the green screen behind me. But if you want to see our graphics, see our information and the data and the research all up on the screen, go check out our YouTube channel, Butt Fumble Sports, or our show's on live right now. You can go check that out. Okay, going to answer more of your questions. Again, if you keep hitting that like button, I'll keep giving out some of my favorite bets of the day. And by the way, JB, you're totally right. It is a risky bet, but we're going off of the trends. A lot of those trends are in that favor. Again, I'll actually pull up the weather on that one. You can see on that game, one of the reasons we like it. So not only were the trends really strong in the under favor, look at the weather. Cold, wind blowing in, likelihood of a home run is down 34%. Likelihood of runs, down 15%. 2 of the better percentage in terms of the under of the day. So Shane Bieber on the mound, a history of the under hitting between the two teams, and weather that suggests the under. That's why that made it such a strong play for us today. That's why we're taking the under, JB. So you're totally right. It's risky with the odds of a -110 bet, but that's what's behind our research, behind our thinking. Again, we're not just shooting from the hip. We put in our research. We try to put it all together to find some of the best bets of the day. Here are our 6 favorite bets of the day. Because we've hit over 6,000 likes, once we hit 7,000 likes, we will do another one of our favorite bets of the day. So keep hitting that like button on TikTok Live. Okay, Jarrett is asking about, do you like Tobias Harris over points tonight? Let's check it out. Tobias Harris over his point total. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll have to check that out. Tobias Harris. By the way, Boss Lady, thank you for hitting that like button as many times as you are. You're killing it right now. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support you guys show us and the love you show us. Okay, Tobias Harris. I'm seeing a point total that's set between 13.5, 14.5 points. The over seems to be a decent play for over 12.5. Over 13.5, it gets a little bit dicier. let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. Vitamin, appreciate your comments. I see you on Instagram Live. Don't think I don't, so appreciate you giving me your reasoning over there. Okay, let's check out Tobias Harris on points. Okay, here, Jared, to your question, here's a trend that I love. Yes, Tobias Harris has been under his point total in his last 2 games, but what I like to see is, look at what he's done on the road. When the 76ers have been on the road this postseason, he's hit he's hit 15 points or more 4 games in a row. Tobias Harris, he's a better scorer on the road. Now, maybe that's because Joel Embiid and James Harden maybe dominate, Tyrese Maxey kind of dominate at home. Maybe there's a tendency for them to kind of shoot a little bit more at home. Maybe Tobias Harris doesn't shoot it well in front of his home fans. That wouldn't shock me either, especially in a place like Philadelphia where if you get a miss, you kind of feel the arena on your back. It's not a very supportive crowd. It's a much more critical crowd in my estimation. So Tobias Harris on the road, really strong play. I actually like this. I'm going to add this one. I know it's not one of our best bets of the day, but I kind of want to add this one up here. I'm just going to put a little bit of an asterisk next to this one. But Tobias Harris over, let's take it at 13.5 points. Tobias Harris at 13.5 points. I really like that play. So who recommended? Jared recommended this one. Everyone, I hope you guys are paying attention. Really like this play. Again, to me, it's about this trend. Tobias Harris on the road, he's a stronger scorer. He's a better shooter. So for a number of reasons, I like it. Let's see what we can get the odds at. Didn't mean to shoot that down like that. Let's see what we're getting the 13.5 points at. 13.5 points, over 13.5 points. I'm getting it plus 110. Plus 110 at 13.5. Am I getting something wrong? 13.5 at plus 110. Love that play. Love that play for that. Tobias Harris. Again, Jared, this is why I love our show. This is why I love doing the research that we do. This isn't a bet I was looking at. I wouldn't have looked at Tobias Harris in a million because he just wasn't on my radar. But this trend really says he is a good shooter, a better shooter on the road. Really like what I'm seeing there. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. What did we say that was at? Plus 110? Is that what we said? Yeah, plus 110. So Tobias Harris, we're going to throw that into our favorite bets of the day is just one to keep an eye on. So it wasn't one that was on our radar at the start of the day, but Jared, good call. Appreciate you shouting it out. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Appreciate all you guys watching us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Butt Fumble Sports, we're going to be live every single day with a couple hours of sports talk, sports betting conversation, daily fantasy sports. We love what we do here at Butt Fumble Sports. We're a sports content company that's here for the fan, giving you all the information you could possibly need, going through our research with you. So whether you're watching on Instagram Live with our behind the scenes feed or watching on YouTube or TikTok Live, we are here to try to get you paid, get you some money, give you information. So appreciate all you guys being with us. Make sure you hit that follow button. That way you know every time we go live. I mentioned this earlier. We have a great website, buttfumblesports.com. You can check out our daily fantasy lineup, our MLB bets of the day, how we're picking our NBA games. You can also check out our merchandise. You can also check out our merchandise, Butt Fumble Sports, with our logo. And of course, we've got some really cool shirts here. If you're a Raiders fan, we had a Raiders fan buy this shirt the other day who gave me a hard time about the Jones on Jones crime. We have the butt punt, obviously, Mr. Irrelevant. If you like the NBA, if you're a Lakers fan, there's our butt punt shirt. If you're a Lakers fan, it's been a hot item. And again, if you order now, free shipping on our shirts. So go to our website, buttfumblesports.com. You can hit the link in our bio, takes you right to our website, buttfumblesports.com. Okay, let's get back to some great sports betting conversation. If you guys have questions about which games to bet, which player props to look at, We're all about it. Haven't gotten any questions about the games, the NBA games tonight, and how we're betting those. So if anyone is curious, we're happy to dive into these NBA games and how we're looking at them. Obviously, the Celtics are a strong play tonight. Denver Nuggets are as well. Two teams that performed really well at home throughout the regular season. If you have questions, we have answers. If it's on Instagram Live, TikTok Live, or YouTube, we're here for it. And make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we hit, what are we looking for? Once we hit 7,000 likes. Once we hit 7,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. So keep hitting that like button. Once we get to 7,000, we'll give out another best bet of the day. Until then, if we don't have any more questions or if people are just waiting on some research, that's what we're going to do. We're going to check out some research now. Just dive into some of these. Looking at the over-under in the Celtics game. Over's been a decent trend on the 213.5. Interesting. Looking at the Celtics 76ers. Looking at that total for the 76ers and Celtics. Total set at 213.5. Interestingly enough, that's what the last two games have been set at. So Vegas has definitely found a kind of place where they feel pretty comfortable. Interesting that that's hit back-to-back games for a number of reasons. I also like that as well tonight. If I were to jump to the Celtics 76ers, do I like that? Do I like that tonight? I actually think I took the under in this game, believe it or not. I think I actually bet the under. There were some other trends, though. The under is 12-5 in the 76ers last 17 games on 1 day of rest. The under is 5-2 in the last 7 meetings between the two teams in Boston. That's what got me. The under was a stronger play in Boston. That's what got me. So the over is hit back-to-back games at that 213.5. But the under is 5-2 in the last 7 meetings between the 76ers and the Celtics in Boston. That trend got me. I just felt like the 76ers scoring a little bit worse. I also expect the Celtics defense to be better. When the Celtics play defense against these 76ers, they're the better team. It's not a question of scoring. It's the Celtics defense. They need to have better defense on James Harden. When the Celtics play better defense, obviously not just the under hits, but I feel like the Celtics are a comfortable play. So for this one, I do like the under. I like the Celtics on the money line. I did take 76ers to cover 7 points. I felt like covering 7 was an easy play. Unless one of the Celtics had that blowout win earlier in the series, but I like the 76ers to cover. Now, that said, there is a trend that immediately goes against me. Celtics are 8-1 against the spread versus the 76ers off a loss over their last 9 games. Interesting trend right there. So after a loss, the Celtics have put a whooping on the 76ers historically. So Celtics are 8-1 against the spread over their last 9 games after a loss to the 76ers. So apparently Boston minus 7.5 is the much stronger play tonight. Keep your eye on that. Again, based off the trend, the Celtics to cover is the really strong trend in this one. We looked at some of the prop bets. A couple of my favorite player prop bets of the day came out of this game. We talked about points for Joel Embiid. I like the over. We talked about him hitting a three-pointer. But I also like the over points plus assists. Over 32.5. He's averaging about 36 points against the Celtics. He's averaging almost as many points as they have as points plus assists here. So I like the over as well on points plus assists for Joel Embiid. Lots of good player prop bets in this game, actually, in my estimation. Lots of them. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. That way you know every time Butt Fumble Sports is live. Hit that follow button. Let's check out some other player prop bets. Let's dive into MLB. See if there are any good player prop bets in Major League Baseball tonight. And for those who play DFS, we have a DFS lineup up on our website, but I do kind of like to reverse engineer sometimes some of our DFS lineups. If I see a really good prop bet, a player prop bet, a probability on an over total bases, over home runs, something like that, I really like using that as a means of kind of reverse engineering a daily fantasy lineup. Getting a question here on IG from Vitamin. How about Tatum? What do you think about his point total tonight? We'll answer that question since you asked it. We don't have a lot else going on right now. People are kind of taking a time out from their questions here on TikTok Live. Let's jump into Jason Tatum and his point total. Vitamin asking about Jason Tatum point total. So looking into that. Okay, the under 30.5 is a strong play. Under 30.5. Where are they kind of settling? Okay, over under 28.5 points seems to kind of be the breaking point for where the plus negative money is. Yeah, 28.5. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit more. What's so challenging about Jason Tatum so far is that 7-point game really stands out. But you also think in the 2 games that have followed, he hasn't had a 30-point game. So it's not like he came out of that and emerged. If you see on the screen, if you're watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube, great strong trend. Vitamin, you can't see it, but I'm going to say it for you, so make sure you're paying attention here. Jason Tatum has failed to exceed 29.5 points in 14 of his last 17 playoff games. He's averaging about 24.5 points per game over his last 17 playoff games. So under 29.5 points, you could get that at minus 113. That's a great bet. Minus 113 at under 29.5 points. So if you think Jason Tatum is going to fall short of 30 points tonight, really strong trend in that favor at minus 113. I would lean in that direction. I'm not crazy about taking it at 28.5, but under 29.5 definitely feels like a much stronger play to me. So that's where I would go. That question came from Instagram Live. Vitamin, appreciate you asking that question. If you guys are watching on Instagram Live, you're getting the behind-the-scenes view, hence the green screen behind me. If you want to check out our research live on the screen, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel, Fumble Sports. That way you can watch the research that we do live on the screen in front of everybody. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Again, once we hit 7,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. So once you hit 7,000 likes, keep hitting that like button. Once we get there, we'll give out one of our favorite bets of the day like we've been doing. We've been having a lot of fun throughout the show, answering your questions, trying to find winners for you guys amongst moneyline plays, total plays, across different sports. We've covered a little bit of the NHL, but we've gone pretty deep into the NBA and MLB. But if you guys have any more questions, we have about 15 minutes left of our show, so make sure you get your questions in now. We have about 15 minutes left, and of course, keep hitting that like button. We want to give out as many of our favorite bets of the day as possible, so keep hitting that like button. Let's get up to 7,000 likes, and that way we can give out our 7th favorite best bet of the day, and we can see how we do on them. We're going to review them every single day. So we'll see how we do. Yesterday, we came out just slightly ahead, but still room for improvement. So every single day, doing the best we can. Okay, his Queen Carter is asking about Celtics on the money line. Yep, I do like Celtics on the money line tonight. Expect them to have a bounce back win. I did have 76ers covering this game. However, the trend that we just saw suggests the Celtics on the cover might be a really strong play. Either way, Celtics money line is one of my favorite bets of the day in terms of the NBA. I really do like the Celtics to bounce back tonight. One of the reasons I also like the Celtics is they're a good parlay play. So if there's another game that you like and you want to get it at better odds, throwing the Celtics money line I feel like is another good game to kind of throw into that mix for a 2-game parlay. That answers your question, his Queen Carter. Okay, we just hit 7,000 likes. You guys are awesome. You got us up to 7,000 likes. So we will hand out our 7th favorite best bet of the day. Here is a look at the ones we've given out so far. Our 6 best bet picks of the day that came before the show that we had all loaded up. We also added Tobias Harris because doing our research throughout the show, we found that Tobias Harris over 13.5 points is a really strong play. given how he's done on the road. So we're going to hand out what will end up being our 8th favorite bet of the day. And let me go to my personal research to pull our next favorite bet of the day. This one, I will say, does not have great odds. This is not going to be a best bet of the day that's going to have the best odds, but it's a best bet of the day that I saw that I really liked, that I was like, oh, that has a decent chance of cashing. What I will say is this is one I'm going to parlay. If you guys play DraftKings or FanDuel, this is one that I like to parlay or will parlay with probably another player prop bet later. So I will kind of warn you, you're going to get this next bet at plus 220 odds, or sorry, minus 220 odds. I know a lot of you are going to roll your eyes at me and be like, oh, you're giving me minus 220? Well, yeah, because sometimes that's a good way of parlaying things. So, yes, be mindful of that now. That said, our next favorite bet of the day, because we hit 7,000 likes, because you guys are freaking ballers and you guys support us like no other, is Christian Walker. Christian Walker of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Christian Walker, and we're going to take him at over half a hit. Now, if you don't like the minus 220 and you're like, hey, Butt Fumble Sports, I'm not looking for minus 220 bets and I don't want to parlay player prop bets, why don't you give us a best bet that's better than that? What I would say to you is understandable. I may have a tendency to agree with you just slightly, but what I would say is I love this bet, and I do feel like it's one that you can parlay with some other player prop bets today. So for a number of reasons, I actually do like this bet a lot. I know it's minus 220, and a couple of you might be rolling your eyes, but I do like this bet today, so keep your eye on it. Christian Walker, he's going up against the Miami Marlins, Jesus Luzardo. He has decent numbers against him, so for a number of reasons, I do like Christian Walker over half a hit at minus 220. Again, if you don't like the minus 220, another place you could look is considering taking him on total bases and taking it over 1.5 total bases. Another way you could kind of work on those odds a little bit better. So anyways, that's another one of our favorite bets of the day. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we do another favorite bet of the day. When we hit 8,000 likes, we'll do it again. So make sure you're hitting that like button. Get us up to 8,000 likes, and we'll do another favorite bet of the day. So keep hitting that like button, and we'll get you there. Okay, from Instagram, we're getting a question. His Queen Carter, Twins on the money line. LRK, the question was Tobias Harris over 13.5 points. That wasn't one that I had previous to the show. I have that as a standout on its own because that's actually one we did during the show. We did our research during the show and found that. So it's not one that I had researched previously. It's one, a best bet that we found live. So just put a little asterisk next to it. It wasn't one that we had loaded up. It's one that we did in the moment. So that's why. His Queen Carter on Instagram Lives asking about the Twins on the money line. Twins on the money line. So we will look into that game just a little bit. Make sure you guys keep hitting that like button. Get us up to 8,000 likes and we will do another best bet of the day. But want to look into that Twins game. Did I pass it? I think I passed it. Where is it? Here it is. So San Diego Padres at the Minnesota Twins. Looking at the Twins on the money line. Looking at Twins on the money line. Twins on the money line is the favorite at minus 112. The odds have shifted down though. The line movement has taken this slightly closer towards the Padres over the course of the day. So, not feeling as good about it. Two starting pitchers on the mound for that game. Varland for the Twins. I mean, only 10 innings pitched, high ERA, the strikeouts per 9, sure, but in 10 innings pitched, like that's just, you're not getting a lot. Meanwhile, on the other side, Michael Wacha, 2-1 record so far, 5.46 ERA. I mean, in 31 innings, you kind of know what you're going to get from him. So he's going to give up some runs today. Let's actually look at the weather. Again, we like to look at the weather to see how that's going to impact the outcome in some of these games. Interestingly enough, this is a bad weather game as well. Wind blowing in, blowing in right to left. And again, that's a ballpark target field that plays shorter to right field. If you're trying to hit to kind of left center, it can play a little bit deeper. So for a number of reasons, the fact that it's blowing in right to left is another reason to kind of like the under in that game, if I'm being honest. Yeah, home runs. The likelihood of a home run goes down 23%. Likelihood of runs down 7%. Let's go back and dive into, for the total, or rather for head-to-head. There's not a lot of great data on this one. If I had to go in one direction based off of it, I would lean towards the Padres, actually. I prefer the starter, but I don't have a lot of great insights on this game. The only insight that I get from this game, and this one trend plays to this factor, the under is hit in 11 of the Padres' last 14 games as an underdog. They are an underdog just slightly in this game. So for a couple of reasons, I'm not crazy about Twins on the money line to answer the question from Instagram Live, but I do like the under. I do like the under in the Padres-Twins game. That is a direction I'm going, is under 9 runs in the Twins-Padres game. That actually is one that I'm going to put money down on once the show ends in just a few minutes. Again, we have about 10 minutes left of the show, so if you have any questions that you want to throw in the chat, any bets that you are curious about and want to get some research on, we're here for it. We have about 10 minutes left of the show, so make sure you throw your questions in the chat, and of course, make sure you're following us. That way you know every time we go live. Tomorrow, we will be live a little bit earlier than we were today. We will be live at 11 a.m. We will be live from 11 to 1 p.m., 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., it's because there's day baseball and we want to give out some winners and some DFS plays before the start of the day baseball games. So make sure you guys are hitting that follow button, whether it's on Instagram Live, whether it's on TikTok Live, whether it's on YouTube. Make sure you guys are following us. That way you know every time you go, every time we're live. Again, this is what you're going to get from this show. A lot of sports talk, a lot of research, a lot of conversation about what's going on each day in the world of sports. So if you love getting good sports information, make sure you follow us and you're a part of this great sports community. LRK425 asks, what was that Twins play? Under 9 runs. That's right, LRK425. We looked into that game. We got a question from Instagram Live if we liked the Twins on the money line. Really didn't feel strongly either way, probably leaning maybe even slightly towards the Padres a little bit. But the under 9 runs in the Padres-Twins game, that was what came out as a strong play. The weather, again, ballparkpal.com is the website right here we use to look at the weather each day across baseball and how it's going to affect home runs, total runs, extra bases, and hits. As you can see, wind blowing in from right to left at target field. The likelihood of runs is down. The likelihood of home runs is down for a number of reasons. We like the under 9 runs in that Padres-Twins game. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Again, we have about 8 minutes left of our show, but we're not done yet. And because you guys are the best and so amazing, we have reached 8,000 likes over the course of our show. And we have another best bet to hand out. Every time we hit another 1,000 likes, we give out one of our favorite bets of the day. You guys, I can't say enough about the support you guys have shown us. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Appreciate you guys supporting us like you have. So thank you guys so much. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Want to make sure I hand out another one of our favorite plays of the day. So let me hand this one out. Let's see. Okay, this is one, again, we gave out in our last best bet of the day that we gave out. I'm sure you guys were probably giving us a bit of an eye roll because we gave out a bet that was minus 220. And you guys probably were giving me some crap about that. Well, I want to pay it back, and we're going to go with one that gives you good plus odds. Now, again, when you get those plus odds, again, we're going to get this bet at plus 200. It is a bit of a more risky bet, a bit of a more of a long shot bet, hence the plus 205 that you're about to get. But this is a bet that I do like today, so here you go. Our next best bet of the day, because we hit 8,000 likes, is Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. We're going to take his over is over half an RBI, and we're getting that at plus 205. So we're saying Marcus Semien will have an RBI in today's game against the Seattle Mariners. Here's the reason why. Marcus Semien has over half an RBI in 10 of his last 12 road games. Again, one more time, Semien has over half an RBI, so he has an RBI in 10 of his last 12 games on the road this year. He's actually averaging almost an RBI and a half over his last 12 road games. So that's another one of our favorite bets of the day. Again, this one's coming at a bit more of a long shot odds, but it's coming at plus 205. I wanted to make up for the Christian Walker at minus 220. Maybe a bit riskier, but we love the trend that came with it. We love the data that comes with it. So for that reason, we're taking Marcus Semien, Texas Rangers, over half an RBI at plus 205 as our next best bet of the day. Tomorrow's show, we'll go back through these best bets of the day, see how we did. Yesterday, we came out ahead just barely. Thank you, LeBron James, for getting 6 assists. That's been a great cashing bet. I'm sure you'll see that one tomorrow, by the way. No doubt on that. But anyways, here are our favorite bets of the day so far from what has been already almost a 2-hour show. You guys are absolutely incredible. Got a question here. His Queen Carter, can you do a game instead of a player prop bet? We can, and we will. And here's the reason why. We just hit 9,000 likes because you guys are absolutely incredible. You guys are hitting that like button like crazy because you guys want as many of these best bets as possible, and I want to give you as many as possible. Thank you guys so much for hitting the like button and showing us the support. So I will give you another best bet of the day because we just hit 9,000 likes because you guys are freaking manimals. You're crazy. You're awesome. And let's go to another one of my favorite baseball plays of the day. This is going to be a game. So we've done a couple player prop bets. We've done a couple games, or we've done one game so far. We did the Tigers Guardians under, but we'll do another one. This one's going to surprise you. This one's going to surprise you. I know you're gonna question me because the starting matchup, the starting pitchers in the Blue Jays and Phillies game are Alek Manoah and Aaron Nola. And I'm sure you're going, hey, those are two stud ace pitchers. There's no way that the over hits. Well, my friends, I have word for you. Look towards the Blue Jays. Oh, well, I need to type in here. The Blue Jays, Phillies, believe it or not, we're going to go over 8 runs. Over 8 runs. And just to make sure that I get my odds correct on this one, we're going over 8 runs in the Blue Jays Phillies game. Oh, by the way, I got this yesterday and it's already moved up to 9. That tells you how strong a play this is. Now, I got it at 8. I got it at 8, and that's the bet I really like. If we go to it, let's see what 8.5 is getting. 8 is getting minus 155. 8.5 is getting minus 130. That's what I actually like it at. I don't like it at the 9.5. So for the purposes of my best bet, get it at minus 130. Again, you can get that on FanDuel at minus 130. BetMGM at minus 130. DraftKings at minus 135. That's minus 130. And again, you can tell there's a reason the odds have changed and the line has moved because this over is a good play. Don't look at the starting pitchers. Don't get sucked in. Alek Manoah, Aaron Nola, yeah, there are a couple of stud aces, but these guys have not had great success against the hitters they'll be facing today. Nola against Toronto hitters, they have a 371 batting average against him. As for a couple of trends, the over is 4-1-1 in the Phillies' last 6 games overall. The over is 6-1 in the Blue Jays' last 7 road games. So that's another one of our favorite bets of the day is Blue Jays Phillies over 8 runs. Obviously, you guys are even more incredible than I could have imagined, and you guys pushed us up to over 10,000 likes for the day. Unbelievable. You guys are amazing. We've given out 10 bets, but only 9 of them were pre-prepared. 1 of them came through the show, so I owe you a bet. I owe you 1 more. And we're going to end the show in just a minute, but before we do, I'm going to give out this last bet. This is our another game bet, so anyone who was wondering if we were going to give out any more game bets, we will. And it's another baseball one. So for those listening on Instagram Live, TikTok Live, and YouTube, this is going to be our last favorite bet of the day because we hit 10,000 likes, but here it is. I mentioned it earlier, so if you've been watching throughout the show, you already know what's coming on this one. It is Red Sox, Braves, and we are going over, baby. Over 9.5 runs. We love it. We love it. We love it. Let's double check to see where those odds are for that overplay in the Braves Red Sox. Braves Red Sox over 9.5, minus 115. Minus 115. Red Sox Braves over 9.5 runs. And that, my friends, are all of our favorite bets of the day. 10 favorite bets that we pre-prepared before the show, and one, a bonus bet, I guess you would say, that we found throughout our research during the show that we love for today's game, tonight's game rather, between the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. So everyone who's watching on TikTok Live and on YouTube, you can see on our screen our favorite bets of the day. I will repeat all of them for those who are watching on Instagram Live right now. So one more time for all of those who are watching, here are our favorite bets of the day. If you're listening on Instagram Live, make sure you pay attention right now. Here are our favorite bets of the day. The first one, Joel Embiid over 28.5 points at minus 120. Joel Embiid over 28.5 points at minus 120. Nikola Jokic over 13.5 rebounds at minus 125. Jokic over 13.5 rebounds at minus 125. In baseball, we like Josh Bell over half a hit at minus 140. Vitamin, that's correct. Embiid over 28.5 points. Vitamin, that's over 28.5 points for Embiid. To continue on the best bets that we like, Joel Embiid, we like him to get a three-pointer tonight. We think Joel Embiid will have a three-pointer made. We're getting that at minus 125. Joel Embiid over half a three-pointer at minus 125. Going over now to baseball, a couple baseball games that we like. We like the Tigers and Guardians under 7.5. We're getting that at minus 110. Tigers, Guardians under 7.5. We like the Blue Jays and Phillies over 8 runs. Over 8 runs for the Phillies. You're probably going to get that actually at 8.5, we should say. It's not really going to be 8. That line has moved. So it's 8.5 for Blue Jays and Phillies. Over 8.5. You're getting that at minus 130. The last baseball game that we really like, Red Sox and Braves over 9.5 runs. You're getting that at minus 115. Again, that's Red Sox Braves over 9.5. You're getting that at minus 115. And a couple more bets that we like in baseball. Christian Walker, we like him to get a hit today. You're not getting it at great odds, minus 220, but we do like Christian Walker to get a hit. And we like Marcus Semien over half an RBI. So we like Marcus Semien to get an RBI at plus 205. Josh, man, that's right. We love to hammer Red Sox Braves over. Hammer Red Sox Braves over. Our last bet of the day, and it did come from our research during the show, is Tobias Harris over 13.5 points. We're getting that at plus 110. He's been a really good scorer on the road in the playoffs this year. So Tobias Harris over 13.5 points at plus 110. Appreciate all of you guys watching, the support you guys have shown us. You hit that like button. You've been following us. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for the support. Cannot say enough about the community that we're building at Fumble Sports. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're following us. That way you know every time we're live. For this kind of experience, this is the content we put out there. We talk sports, sports betting, fantasy sports across Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you want to hit us up while we're not on live, you can always DM us. Sports Fumble on Twitter, Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. And of course, if you want to get access to the Outlier app that we've been using throughout the show, make sure you hit me up, DM us, and I will give you a link that gives you a 7-day trial for this Outlier app. Make sure you hit us up. Again, DM us, and I will give you the link to the Outlier app that will give you a 7-day trial. So hit us up, DM us, Instagram. That's Fumble Sports on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and Sports Fumble on Twitter. Want to give a big shout out to Bleece NFT, big supporter and a big help behind the scenes. Bleece, couldn't do this without you, as always. Thank you so much for being an incredible teammate. For everyone who's been watching on Instagram Live, the behind the scenes view. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope the green screen wasn't too boring for you. Everyone who watched on TikTok Live and on YouTube, the community we have, the support, LRK425, Mateo King, Rod, Jarrett, JB, One Big Deal 2022, Nas, Fred Amore 5, Swifto, Drew 7382, Alexander, Boss Lady, appreciate the support you showed us today. Timbo, everyone who made a comment, everyone who supported us, thank you guys so much. Again, we will be live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. we will be back on live to do it all over again. Talk sports, sports betting, DFS, and everything you need to have an amazing Wednesday in the world of sports. But until then, good luck on your bets. DM us if you want more information. DM us